All right, hi, welcome. In this video, I'm going to go over program 6. Let me make sure I'm recording. Okay, so we're going to go over program 6. You go to assignments and program 6. So you should be familiar with this program because you've already done the algorithm. I've already created a project for it, so I'm going to download the template code and put that template code into my project. And in a minute, we will get to this and go over it, but let's go over a few things about the assignment. So here, the assignment is here. Okay, so this adds some features from program 4. So if you take a look at the functions, you will see that there are so many functions that are the same as program 4. So it's a very good idea that you have your program 4 working as expected. We have 2 extra functions in which we get to practice using input-output parameters. Please note that a variable with a asterisk is not a character. This is a character address or a pointer to a character. So we're getting a chance to practice this. If you don't understand how that works, I strongly recommend that you review the pointer module, pointers and input output parameter module on Canvas. There's a lot of videos and lectures that go over and animations and PowerPoints and notes and videos and sample code that go over how this works. All right, the greeting function I'm not even going to do because you guys should know how to do the greeting function. So the way that this works is we're going to add some options. If the user enters A, they get to add an item to the order. When you add an item to the order, it's the same as program 4. You can add quantity of that item. So you can pick number 2, and then you can pick number 2, and then you can add as many as you want of that. You could pick number 2 again and add as many as you want of that again, but you can also keep adding to the order as many different items as you want until your time to check out. You can check out, then you check out. When you hit new, you can hit new while you are still adding to the order, or you can hit new after you check out and it's going to reset everything. So even if you've added everything to your order and you've checked out, you can still hit N, and that is just going to start all over again and reset the balance. If you want to, you don't have to do that. If you want to, you can have new will only, once you check out, and new will only just stop the current order that you're working on. It's not really, it's such a small thing, but you can, it's something you can personalize. I assure you your grader is not going to, hopefully not going to spend that much time checking it. That's not the point of this assignment. The point of this assignment is to practice input-output parameters, adding more features, more practice with functions, passing things to functions, returning things from functions. And so let's get started. So the first thing I did is I have launched Visual Studio and put the code into Visual Studio. This is the template code that was provided. So I'm going to build it. It should compile and it should crash. When I go to run it, it hopefully will crash, and it did. So the reason that it's crashing is because I've added into the code the feature to read from the file. Well, we haven't added the file to our project yet. So we need to go back to Canvas. We need to go to the project and we need to download the food account balance file. So you will notice I've already downloaded it a couple times, and you will notice that it's food account balance 2. If I copy this, I have to show it in folder to do that. Okay, wait a minute, let me get it. All right, if I take this one and I copy it, and then I navigate to my project, I've created a project here. It's on my desktop in my class. All right, this is the project where my source code is located if you're using Visual Studio. And I paste this food account balance file here. And I go back it still should crash. And the reason that it's still crashing is because it wants the file name to be food account balance.txt. It does not want it to be food account balance 2. So I have to get rid of that. Make sure it matches and try it again. And it's not crashing, so I'm assuming it's working. But to make sure that it works, I'm going to print the balance onto the screen. And of course, I can never spell things right when all right, %.2f, and it's the balance from file. All right, so let's try one more time. Okay, so it's connecting to the file and it's getting the $20 from the file. Now, those of you who are not using Visual Studio and you're using the online compiler, you can go here to the online compiler. All right, we'll just stick with this one. And you can create a new, so you have your main here, which that would be the code. I'm just going to take this code from here where it's already connecting, so I don't have to retype that. And this is my code. Okay, so now let's see if I run it, it will probably doesn't execute because it doesn't find the file. But I can fix that by creating a new file right here. And inside that file, I'll put $20. And now let's try it again. So you can use the online compiler, you can use Visual Studio, and if you're using Xcode, the only big thing in Xcode is that you can't put the input file in the same directory as the source code. Even if you do, you still have to put the path. So if you go on and you download the file from Canvas, there are instructions on what to do if you're using Xcode. That's this file right here. And it says that you just, when you use fopen right here, you need to put the path. This is from a different semester. It was called account balance, but it's still food account balance. But wherever you put it, you have to add this path. Xcode is very particular and does not want you to, wants to make sure that you put the whole path, even if it's in the same directory as your source code. All right, so now we've got our code. It's connecting to the file and it's printing the balance onto the screen. So I feel pretty good about that. So now I'm going to move on to my next function, which is menu selection. So the menu selection function is a function that takes a character pointer. So you will see here, I've declared a variable called selection, and then I've turned the selection into an address by putting the ampersand there. So I'm passing the address of selection to the function. So let's implement the function. So in this function, you just want to display the options. Obviously, you can do a better job than this. I just don't want you to have to sit here and watch me type. So we're going to display the options, and then we use scanf. Remember, when you're using a character, to put the space there, space %C. And then we're not going to use an address because selection pointer already is an address. So this is just a chance to practice. So instead of doing address of selection, selection pointer already is an address. So you leave out the ampersand here because selection pointer is an address. All right, so now this is our menu selection function. And what we want to do here is call it. Again, you should understand what's happening here. Don't just go through the motions. You should practice different things, put different printfs, try to follow what's happening. But here, I want to test it. And let's see if it's working as expected. All right, so now let's test it. All right, we get the $20 from the file. We pick a choice. A, you selected A. So that's working as expected. I don't really need to keep this printf here. And this is going to be the initialization for the while loop. Notice there's not an infinite loop here. So this is going to be the test. So this is initialization. You're going to initialize the value of selection before the loop. This is the test. So if the user happens to enter Q, you will never go into this loop. Then if they enter an A, you're going to, I'm going to put printf just to make sure that this loop is working. One thing at a time. All right, so if they pick A, you're going to do add. And then you just have to add the other features. One for C and one for N. So if they pick else, if they pick C, then you want to check out. We're not doing that. We're going to do something else. And if they pick N, you want to reset. Okay, so we have, if they select, so this, they won't even go in there if it's a Q. If it's an A, you're going to add. If it's a C, you're going to check out. If it's an N, you're going to reset or make a new order. And if it's none of those, then you're going to print not recognized. It's always a good idea to have that. And then of course you need to call the menu selection function again down here. Why do you need to do that? Because you need to update. So this is a loop, initialization, test, and update. So I'm going to pause for one moment here, and I'll be right back. Okay, so you have your loop here. You have initialization for the loop, the test for the loop, and the update for the loop. So now we want to test it, and it should print the word add if we select A, print the word checkout if we select C, print reset if we hit N. So let's test it and make sure it's working as expected. A add, C checkout, N reset, X not recognized, Q quit. All right, so that's working as expected. So one more function, and then we're going to bring in our program 4. I have my program 4 here, hopefully. Yes, I have my program 4 ready to go, so I can just add those functions one at a time. And that'll be in the next video. So all I want to do now is just call this function. So this function, there are two totals. There is the item total. That's the one you're going to be passing to add one, the address to add one item to order. You're going to have an item total and an order total. One item order is going to add one item at a time. So you're going to pass the address of the item total to that. Then you're going to come back and add that to the order total. All right, so let's see where we would do that. Right here, you're going to add one item to the order and you're going to pass the address of the item total. Then when you come back here, you're going to say, okay, I've got an item total. I'm going to take that item total. I'm going to add it to what my current order total was, right? So I'm going to add those two together and assign that new amount to my order total. And this will make more sense when we start actually adding items to our order, right? So say your item total is $10, your order total was 0. After this, your order total will be 10. You get another item total of 5. Your order total was 10. Now your new order is 20. So we want to print this here to make sure it's working as expected. Right now it's going to be 0. We also want to print the item total before we do that, right? So it's always a good idea to print as much as you possibly can because you can follow what's going on by adding all of these printfs. Now we're going to go down to our add one item to order function. So our one item is going to take in here, it's going to take the address of item total. So what's going to happen then is total pointer is going to get declared and point to where item total is located. So we're going to have a price. We're going to have this is actually the item total. So I could change this to item total. And if it makes you feel better, you could change this to item total pointer if it makes more sense to you. All right, each time we're going to have a new value. So we want to reset back to 0 the value at the item total pointer. And want to reset it to 0 because we're going to do a new order. Then you're going to get the item number. Then you're going to set the price. Then you're going to get the quantity. Then after you do that, you're going to set the value of your item total pointer to that new thing. So if you say your item costs $5 and you want 6 of them, then you're going to pass the $5 here. Add quantity to order is going to make 6. It's going to be 30. It's going to pass 30 back to here. So the value at this is going to be 30. And then what's going to happen back here in main is item total is going to be 30. You're going to take your 30, that's your item total, add it to the ongoing order total. And you're just going to keep doing that as long as every time that the user selects A, you're just going to keep adding items and adding more items to the total. So right now it should be 0 because we haven't done anything, but let's just make sure that we're calling it properly, and then we will do the next video. So if I hit A, the item total is 0, the order total is 0, but I am actually calling that function. All right, so I'm going to end this video now and start with the next video by actually doing an item.